Sometimes.
Hello! It is Tuesday. I am done drawing horrible Dungeons and Dragons characters on Rod's channel. Shout out Just a Weekend. Instead, we are talking about the Omni X-Men and actually good art, quality art. As always, I am joined by Justin from KnowGood Comics.
Hey, what's going on, chat? What's up, John? How you doing, man?
Hey, this issue has a bunch of fun things to talk about, so I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've got Brandon from ComixKings because he was with us last time for this two-parter. How you doing, Brandon?
What's up, Brandon?
I'm good. It's weird seeing you, John, 2 days in a row. How are you doing, sir?
I survived.
How you doing, my friend?
You survived.
I survived.
Doing good, man.
I survived. Only because Justin's here.
If you guys did not know, I was on ComixKings yesterday. We were talking about two classic comic book deaths, which is why I've kind of got some things decorating the background here. So if you want to find those stories, I've linked Brandon's channel and Justin's channel in the description down below, and you can find those videos. And next week, we'll be over on Justin's channel for more Omni X-Men. So you want to make sure that you are following us both for that.
I wanted to check that out, but then I realized you guys were going to talk about spoilers of people dying. So I was like, well, I don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, those 50-year-old spoilers are frustrating.
Yeah, it gets me every time.
When Stacy dies?
Yeah, I'm like, when did this happen?
Right? Never seen Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi dies.
Hey, now we're ruining everything.
You know what? I'm sorry.
In the chat, tailgating, we had Flashpoint Comics. Michael is coming by. Even though he can't stand the X-Men, he still took the time to drop a little what's up and a thumbs up, I hope. So I appreciate it, Michael, man. Thanks for coming.
What's up, Michael?
We got Magic Lasso saying hello, X-Men and arcade. Speaking of arcades, what is a guitar's favorite arcade game? Defender. Keep on rolling here. We got Jackson Roy Kirk. Hello to you, sir. He says, if the first X-Men movie had been made in the early 80s, Danny Bonaducci could have played arcade. Burn. That's a sick burn. And we got Jennifer from Comics Will Break Your Heart. Jennifer, thank you for coming by.
Up, Jen?
I'm only on ASM 89. Oh, curses. You're about 40 issues back from brutal. That issue, which is like, a few hundred back from where we are today. Rats. And we got the one and only Chet Scotland himself. He's got a 9/6 Stan and Chris signed copy of this issue we're discussing tonight. So,
wow.
And he's going to be on. What's that?
I said I'll claim it for the little price in the top left.
There you go. And he's going to be our guest next week on Justin's channel, so make sure you're there because it is always informative when we got Chet-Eye here with us.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
So let's run around the table here a little bit to get first impressions and thoughts of Uncanny X-Men issue 124. Justin, what were you thinking when you read this one?
It's another one I really enjoyed. I do, again, kind of going back to what we talked a little bit about last time with the crew being, separated in all these rooms and trying to resolve, where we left off. And I will say, I do feel a little let down by the ending. We'll get into that. So I think that was, what kind of weakened it for me towards the end. But, I still want to keep it, 8.5, 9.0 kind of grading for myself here. Beautiful artwork and just a fun issue. So
nice. And what about you, Brandon? What were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed this. The whole arc with Arcade starting in Marvel team up until now has been a lot of fun. He's like, what if Joker was a Marvel character and more fun and a contract killer? And it's like, it's cool. It's like a dialed down Joker. I'm here for it. Or it's like what MODOK would be in a human form.
There you go.
I'm here for it. I would give this I'd give this one a 9.2. I gave the last one a 9.0. This one's around the 9.2 for me. It's not perfect, but it has a little bit of everything you want in a story.
I'm right there with you guys in that 9.0 range. I think this is a nice two-parter. I think it's really one of the better two-parters we've had in the last year of issues that they've dropped. I think Arcade is an odd kind of villain, and either you're all in or you're out on this character. He's very much like a Batman villain, a Riddler or what have you. He feels very silly and somewhat goofy. but he's handled really well in these 2 issues. And for me, this is a very entertaining 2-issue read. Even if in typical Bronze Age reading fashion, you stretch the imagination a little bit, which is part of the fun. My low grading friends. Well, hey, we're reading with modern glasses on, which
pretty
we'll
high
discuss later. These are pretty high scores for us.
9s are high. Yeah.
And we'll discuss a little later the idea of reading a Bronze Age book with modern eyes and how, I always joke with my buddy Alec how Silver Age sucks because reading Silver Age it can be very painful. And Bronze Age is no better. I mean, every age has its drawbacks, and you got to sort of be able to set aside some things when you're trying to enjoy it.
Agreed.
There you go. So let's dive into the slideshow here with this cover. The proletarian himself hoisting up the 2 main leaders in the X-Men history. What did you think of this cover, Justin?
I think it's a really cool cover. I mean, the idea. I mean, anytime I'm looking at these covers, I'm thinking like I try to put myself in the mind of, if I was around at that time and I was walking by the shelf, is this something that would catch my eye? And I definitely think it would for several reasons. And obviously, whether you knew the X-Men at that time or not, if you knew them at that time, you're like, what is going on? Because obviously they're fighting each other. What's going on? If you didn't catch the last issue. And then the other thing I like about it is that it's, it takes place in the issue. So that's always nice to actually see, the different angles. I know sometimes some of the issues we've had, some of the covers didn't fully tie into, some of the story arcs, but this one was like, right on point.
Right. What about you, Brandon?
I find it very interesting that Storm is out of costume. Obviously, as this slideshow continues, that's going to be a plot point or kind of like a shift in her design. And then Cyclops, I'm always for whenever he's getting injured. I think he deserves
There you go. Brandon's like, yes.
It's cool for so many reasons because it wants you to investigate the book, and that's what a cover should do. It wants you open the book up, right? Not keep it, put it backboard, and never touch it for the rest of your life. It wants you to open up and see the contents inside. The cover does it. So I'm adjusted.
Chet is getting very upset if you're talking about opening the book and looking inside. I'm just going to tell you.
Sure, it all started when I said Cyclops.
Right. Hip hop one is up.
What's going on, Steve?
And I will say, and I planned as part of our discussion tonight to discuss a little bit about Storm and her costumes and kind of what that says about Bronze Age female characters versus modern age female characters, or just comic characters in general. So that costume in particular will be discussed. But yeah, I dig this cover. I think the sort of deranged Colossus in the background is pretty spectacular looking. And then the fun, it's almost like Herbie Crackle, but it's a John Byrne Crackle there in the background. That I dig the light behind him. I think that comes off really well. And is that Banshee just drowning like nonchalantly in the background?
Wait, it's Wolverine. I think. Wait,
no,
is it Wolverine?
In the back, the back is Banshee, and then the front is Wolverine.
Okay, Wolvie's in the front.
I never noticed Banshee.
That's hilarious. You didn't even see Banshee. Like,
no, I never noticed that.
Yeah, so there's some fun visuals going on here. So that's Banshee in the back, right behind Cyclops, and then blocked by the word proletarian is Wolverine. You don't even see him because they put the title card right on top of him.
Right.
Best Russian wrestler outfit says Flashpoint.
There you go.
But here we go, because I didn't see wrestler. I saw something else. Where did we leave off? We're in Super Mario style here with that amazing costume. And I love this great splash with the monitors, and it's like exactly where we left off, where you've got Arcade just reeling back and chuckling in laughter. I think it's fantastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, this is great. And this just goes back to like the whole discussion we had last week on like, man, like what kind of setup does this guy have? Like he's got all the screens and everything, and obviously has just this big warehouse of a setup, and it's all the fancy toys. He's got it all.
Right. He's like a little kid in the basement, and I just love the layout of this screen. Like if you're a kid, you're looking at it, you're just like, Dad, I want this as my game room.
Yeah, exactly.
John Byrne, and I know in the Discord chat we were kind of talking about proportions in art this morning.
Oh, yeah.
I think the person the artist we were talking about, needs to go back and look at the way that John Byrne drew everything, because John Byrne didn't put himself in the Alien book.
No, this is true.
So yeah, Arcade gives us his monologue like right off the bat. He's here with the 3 ladies that were on dates with some of our X-Men, and he decides to just go full monologue here on this, telling us about how he grew up in Beverly Hills with tons of money, and when his dad wanted to cut him off, he killed his dad and built Murder World so that he could become an incredible assassin. Because that seems right up his alley. And I also love, it's kind of a throwaway in this whole thing. Arcade is freaking ripped. I don't know if you can see him, but underneath where he's sort of cry laughing, directly under him, you can see him laying by the pool with some women.
Oh yeah.
He is ripped. He's got abs on top of abs, and it's like, why is he wearing the stupid bow tie when he's got that under? Come on, man. Flex it if you've got it.
Wasn't Charles Xavier just as ripped when he was meeting Lilandra?
I mean, nobody's got an ounce of fat in these comics. I'm just gonna say it.
Nope. And the other thing too is since he's rich, pointing out, I feel like he just had everything, and he not only is he ripped and he's in shape, but he chooses with the money he has to wear this silly outfit that he wears.
The bow tie is amazing.
Yeah,
the clown bow tie. Yeah, he had no clothes left for a nice wardrobe, right? That's all you get.
Who cares? It's fun.
Right? Again, if you can buy into the ridiculousness of the whole thing, I think there's definitely some laughs to be had. The women wrapped in little presents still at this point.
I think we deserve a breather. Like a laugh, Just have fun with it. Go with it.
Yeah, you got to kind of just go with it. Absolutely. So he's used Murder World to become a high-paid assassin, and he runs through a little bit of. We mentioned Marvel team up, Spider-Man, Captain Britain, and how that went, and then of course now we see that Juggernaut and Tom Cassidy have hired him to do this job.
Yep. John, your GIF game is on point, man. It really is. John's GIF game is on point.
I love the image next to Joffrey there when it's like all in red and yellow, and he's doing the creepy Joffrey look. Like he's just like, yes, I have all the money and I will torture them any way I like. Yes.
It is cool. It is cool.
Right. This is a great point from chat. It was like, he tells this whole story, and in everything we've seen in comics with him, he is a failure with Murder World. Murder World does not live up to its name in any way.
I mean, he did kill his dad, and he was like, "Oh, I can do this." No, you can spend all your money and just rebuild the place twice.
Right? Yeah,
pretty much.
And I also love how they Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy show up in like 2 panels, and then it's like they're not in this issue. They're not in any part of it. We don't even see them pay. It seemed like Arcade had invited them, but they were looking for Arcade to hire him because apparently they're offering. And I don't know where Black Tom's getting his money, but $1 million per X-Men.
X-Men.
John, I have a question for you. Is Arcade welcome on Krakoa?
He's not a mutant as far as I know. He has no abilities, right?
At the time, Kylie was Moira, but here we are.
Right?
He has money. Money is his ability.
Right, exactly.
And abs.
Yeah, Jennifer says, just create a world in Sims and abandon it for years like the rest of us. There you go. He had no mutant. There it is. Yeah, as far as I know, he's got no abilities except money and apparently ripped abs.
It's great.
So now back to where we were, fighting and trying to defeat the Proletarian, which is quite a superhero name or supervillain name. Cyclops and Wolverine having to deal with brainwashed Colossus. What do you think of this plot line, Justin?
So I mean, I like the idea of it where they got to snap him out of it somehow. I did have questions initially when I was reading, as I was reading through this and seeing that, the optic blast coming from Cyclops, the way it's like being deflected. I was like, can Colossus just block that? And is that, and later they address it that, he's thinking like, well, if I give it the all, like he wasn't like, giving the
he's
full
holding back.
blast.
Yeah.
He's right. Like kind of pulling his punches in a way. So I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Cause I was like, I from what I thought, Cyclops should be able to technically like, blow him away if he really wanted to.
What is up, Fable?
What's up, Fable?
And Rogue Trader. Yeah. The Barbarian is not over here now. I'm sorry.
Nice.
The mutant is back.
And I also like how you kind of get a fastball special in a way here on the bottom right hand corner. Not so much by how he wanted to, but he definitely he gets tossed. He gets tossed for sure.
Absolutely palms Wolverine and just like flips him.
And Wolverine's so confident, he's just like, here we go. Always wanted to know how my adamantine claws would go against your steel or whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't even get close.
Not even a shot. Didn't have a shot at it. No. What about you, Brandon? What did you think of this proletarian Colossus?
I love what did Wolverine say. He's just like, I was not expecting. He's like, he's faster than he looks, But like the dialogue for me is what's doing it because it's so light, but it's so meaningful to this story, and it's like everything just falls in. It's like this is exactly how these characters would interact with each other if they were just like wrestling at the X Mansion,
Right.
It fits, and I like it.
What they realized they needed a turtle shell. That's how you defeat Mario. You don't do it with claws or laser blasts from your eyes. You need a turtle shell you can launch at him, and that's how you stop him.
Yep.
So what are you gonna do? So Wolverine gets thrown, hits a wall that spins, a hidden revolving wall. It keeps Colossus and Cyclops from getting through. It gives Colossus the chance to then throw around Cyclops a little bit like a rag doll. Mind control is a real bitch.
Yeah, hate that. The spinning doors. I just thought about the scene from Young Frankenstein, where they're in the library and now you see like Cyclops just trying to like, hey, how did he get in here? Like, I'm just
put the candle back.
That's so good. That should have been the GIF here, John.
That should have been the GIF if I thought about it. That's a great one. Yep. See, GIF game failure on this page. So yeah, we see a little bit of the like mind control using this Colonel Vashon of the KGB, who is like being projected to affect Colossus's mind to make him distrust his teammates. And we cut to Storm, finally, to what was going on with Storm. And she's flying around trying to avoid the trap she's in, but somehow a gust of wind that is uncontrollable for her plummets her into the water down below, and slowly the tank of water is filling, so she's kind of drowning. I do love this long, skinny panel of her face and pressing against the surface at the top. Really great.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Super emotional.
Fantastic.
Hello, Patrick Wall. He says, arcade, greatest villain ever. My first PC game I had was X-Men in Murder World. There you go.
Nice.
What's not to love about arcade? He's a good sport. Oh, wait. No, spoiler.
No, he's a horrible sport.
Team up's not spoiler.
Any thoughts on these pages, you guys? Or you want me to keep going? What do you think you do?
Just want to note the background of like the water, how he kind of portrays that. I always, look for that in John Byrne's work and what he does. So it's cool to kind of recognize that, even though, she's not flying, but she's in water instead, and he can still make that work.
Right.
I really admire the life that Claremont is giving Storm's like thought process, because like we don't really get a whole lot of her critically thinking in a scenario. We go to her origin story, and what was it? It was in one of the issues. I think it was 102. Check correct me, but I just really admire how he's like still putting life into these characters. Now they're still considered new,
right?
Ish at the time. Like we don't like. I don't think when we're going through these issues a lot, we're kind of losing sight of that these characters are still debuting in a sense. We're still getting to know them more and more. So I think this is just a great addition to her character.
Yeah.
I also think it's funny that to this day we still call them the new team. And there've been a lot of new teams since then. But if anybody says, "Hey, do you like the new X-Men team?" You're not thinking like, "Oh, you mean the one from like Ultimate X-Men or New X-Men or Astonishing X-Men?" You mean the new X-Men.
Yeah, so true.
The one from 50 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, so team Dugan, Jerry Dugan, I'm here for.
There you go. So then we get Cyclops is now thrown through his own revolving door. He lands up in a different place than Wolverine. He lands up with Nightcrawler and the bumper cars.
Yeah, those things. And he got nicked last time, right? Didn't?
Yes, he did. He got cut pretty good last time.
Great.
There you go. Annual 3, more Storm goodness there.
Yeah, George Perez. I love that.
What's up, old Wolf?
Hey, Wolf.
Tony.
Because we want people to tune in and watch, Michael.
No one will know.
Shots fired. No, I'm just kidding, bro. Because I'm not gonna buy a Flash omnibus. Come on.
There's probably only one in existence, and it just got a second printing.
There you go. Shots fired. Right now, Michael's like, okay, thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm gonna change that.
Press the
subscribe.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. Oop, and the actual Dracula is here himself. Hello, sir.
Wow, the actual Dracula. Wow.
It's all being contested. There's legal people involved, and it's complicated.
I have to go up there.
So yeah, now we've got 3 bumper cars, all with whirling blades, and it's all very Running Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Running Man-esque. This game is getting really dangerous.
Do we know if I know like Nightcrawler, if he bamfs with a person or multiple people, that it takes a lot out of him, but if he's just by himself, does he get tired? Because when I first saw that he was in this situation to begin with, I don't know, my mind kind of went to like, oh, Nightcrawler could just dodge these all day. Like, shouldn't it not, be a problem? Like, I guess he'd still have to figure out, how to go about actually stopping each car. But at least I felt like he'd be safe and would just jump around.
It does take a lot out of him. I don't think it's anything that's done like reflexively or without any cost. But he was also hit by that one car, and I think that's really why we saw him falling in the last issue and didn't really see the landing. But clearly, he's plummeted to the ground right here.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to bamf all the time, and I would never get tired. I would just for days.
Awkward. Awkward. Kurt gets tired, but as we go along, he grows. Yeah, and we've seen him obviously teleport with Wolverine. So the smaller size people, he can do a little more easily, but still takes obviously a ton out of him. Patrick Wells says, definitely the best team. Too bad being a young German lad growing up, Nightcrawler became my favorite all time, even over Batman. I'll never own a GSX. Hey, don't discount it, right? You just never know. Hey, thank you, Simon R. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming by.
You could own Wave X #1, which is very enjoyable, and it focuses on Nightcrawler.
And I will say, classic X-Men #1. That's a good way to get X-Men at giant size. I'm a big fan of that book. So let's keep going here. Wolverine landed with Banshee, which right now is definitely a detriment since Banshee's voice is still recovering from what happened in Japan. Thankfully, Wolverine uses his sense of smell once he realizes they're in Battlestar World with some really awesome Battlestar Galactica jets flying around this place. He smells out the wall where it actually is and decides to carve their way out of here, only to find Magneto and the Hulk. And Arcade laughing how Spider-Man tried that move, and now that move will not work anymore.
This is my favorite page. Oh, sorry, Justin.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
This is my favorite page of the book. Could you get Wolverine's like, oh shit movement? You're still giving more character to Wolverine. And honestly, I was messaging John last night, and I said, we need to talk about why for the past 20 issues, Banshee has been the poster boy for them to just torture and make miserable. No.
as if it wasn't bad enough to have 2 X-Men have to face the Hulk and Magneto. Right. It's, of course, Banshee.
It's Banshee.
Without his voice.
Yeah, just a regular guy.
Wearing that ridiculous outfit. That's just bad. What is up, Rod? Just a Rican in his comics. Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate it. What did you want to say about this, Justin?
I just want to kind of piggyback off what Brandon said about the face expression of Wolverine is definitely one of my favorites right there. It's just like, oh, like that could be a GIF that or a meme. I mean, for anything, you know, and just to see them and think about like, you know, reading this for the first time and just flipping through and maybe not considering that, you know, that they're robots right off, you know, when you first glance at that panel, you might be like, wait a second, like these guys are in here. What the heck's going on? Like, how could they be working together? So yeah.
And the joke is like lately we've seen Magneto take apart the entire team. You really got to throw Hulk in there with him? Like, come on.
Yeah. This is like what was going on in their head? Like what was in the writing room when they were coming up to this? Like, hey, John, who do you think should we have set up hidden in this room here? Somebody, Magneto, and you know, give me someone else, someone random. You know, it's like I'll throw the Hulk in there. Why not?
There's not enough green.
Hulk 181. Go with it. They tried.
Right?
Yeah, I do like that they tied that in the Hulk.
They reference it. Yeah, that's cool.
I do like that, and you get a little see a little bit of a swipe with that.
Totally. So I really want to talk about these. I'm going to say off the front, these are some of my favorite drawings in the issue because the artwork is amazing. But when I read this, and I had read an article, I want to say that Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart, had posted about the over-sexualization of characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and why does Black Widow need to have a costume with a zipper on her chest that never seems to go all the way to the top? Nobody else seems to have this costume gaff but her. And so here comes Stuttering John. No, not quite the opposite, because as Chet is pointing out, I tend to highlight a lot of these panels here. And here are some examples that we've talked about before and highlighted for various reasons. So I kind of wanted to get into a short, hopefully, conversation about, is Storm overly sexualized, and does it take away from her character or her story in any real way? Now, we have to take into context the fact that this is a Bronze Age book, and writers in the Bronze Age versus Silver versus Gold all wrote the men and women with different stereotypes and different archetypes, and were just as fallible as any other era of writer. So there, Jennifer's still here. So I think you were linking to Dr. Lewis, which is an Instagram person that I follow, and she posts interesting things about feminism and about the way women in comics are represented. But specifically, instead of getting into this huge topic, I kind of wanted to focus in on the omnibus that we're reading and the idea of Storm really being the primary female character in this omnibus. You know, Jean kind of in and out. And your thoughts on, do they over-sexualize her, and does it in any way ruin or take away from her character? So, Justin, that's a ton of thought to ask. What were your thoughts when I said I wanted to discuss this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do for sure. I mean, and as you pointed out, like this is from a different era, and you know, the way that they did things then is how they did things then. But it's to me, I feel like I don't see her. I still see her as this strong, independent, like boss of a character, regardless. I mean, how I've been reading it, you know, and I started with this stuff before I went to anything else, for X-Men stuff. But I do, I mean, like some of these scenes are definitely like, I do feel like they go out of their way, you know, to really highlight some things. And even with this particular scene, like they kind of try to tie it in with like, all right, well, she's underwater, so like all these things are going to hold her back, so she needs to strip down. But it's like, does she need to strip down? Like, you know, like the cape, we'll take the cape, but like
it felt egregious to me as well, because like, let's say she saves 30 seconds in her swim speed. She's going to use 30 seconds getting all that crap off. So like, at what point is this functional, or is this just like Old Wolf says, comic books based or aimed at young men, which I fully get. And it's always been the curse of the media, if you will. And I raising daughters who are reading comics, I know I'm very aware of that. Brandon, you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. And I think one of the reasons why, like earlier, I was talking about 102s, because I remember Storm, because really like the first introduction we had of Storm, and Judson hit it right on the ball. She's like an emotional character. She's very strong. She's very independent. I think that was the end game for her so far in this story. But these are the marks we want to hit with this character, and to get people to be interested in her, this is the way they went about it. In today's day and age, that's wrong.
Right.
Back then, it was obviously different. We're comparing two different eras. Like you pick up Marauders right now where Storm is highlighted. It's not going to be the same thing. Do I think they go over the top? Yes. I think that because she's like the only female character right now on the team with Jean out, Lilandra with Professor X, we haven't been introduced to a whole lot of other female characters.
Right.
Polaris is sadly with Havocs. But I think that they're just wanting to draw attention and get people to look at a female character, especially like a minority female character at that time. I don't want to make race an issue, but it kind of is in a sense.
Sure, it has to be.
Because this team, this whole X-Men team, was designed to bring comic readers from all over the world. You have Nightcrawler, German, Christian, very religious. You have Colossus, who's a Russian, people who are living in Russia or previously known as
Soviet Union,
at the time. You have Wolverine, a Canadian. You're also bringing in Alpha Flight, so you're bringing in that sector of the world. You're bringing in people from Africa. Then you have your American team, and then maybe people in space. We haven't got there yet. But my point is, you have people all over the world, and even Thunderbird, right? I was a minority as well. So that was, he unfortunately died, and you have Sunfire as well. So you have a whole list of minority characters, more so than you do characters of the white race. I just don't think they went about it at the time. This is how they saw it to be fit.
Absolutely.
That is something to be taken into account. That's what they were ultimately going for. And at the time, that was the quote unquote right way to do it. Obviously, we have grown and evolved past that.
Well, and I think it's always been the curse of the medium. And I read some interesting articles about Scarlet Witch's evolution as a character and her costume evolution, and versus obviously what they're doing on the Scarlet Witch show. And you could get into a broader discussion of this that I don't really want to derail us with. I just felt like it was a valuable discussion. For me, it was two layers, and then I want to jump into the chat real quick. There's how she's written, and then there's how she's drawn. So on the writing side, I don't think they've ever made her an object of romance and made her an object of like sexual tension or drama. It's always been downplayed, and her strength, her Omega level abilities, and her intelligence has always been the overriding factor. So in that way, I don't feel like the drawing takes away from that, because it is who she is. Like the strength of her character seems to bleed through. On the other side, I can just see how it seems to be fairly constant with her. It's not like you see Wolverine getting stuck in a trap and having to strip down to get out of it. It just doesn't. It just never. You're not dealing with that for other characters, but you are routinely with Storm. So I think it's an interesting topic worth having. I don't think it ruins the book or anything, but there's relevance to it. I want to also see what some chat people are saying. Hey, team.
Yeah, and also just to add to just the other thing that I wanted to bring this up was last issue. The mistake that was drawn in, as you had pointed out, is another thing where it's just very questionable. It's like, why was that? Why was that put in there? Or
Sure.
What was it? I think the digital. When I went back to the digital version. The digital version has it there. I mean, you can see it. So, just another thought to add in.
Absolutely. Chet, I love this comment. He said there was a point when they took all this into account with her and moved her into that punk rock Mohawk stage, which was always a hashtag, always my Storm. But like, I totally can see how that went into it for sure. Yeah. There's a bunch of people chatting about this, so I didn't want to get too far off. Magic Lasso saying, I always thought Storm was so confident, had such esteem that she would walk around naked if she had, because she had no issue with it. And they mentioned that at one point in the comics where she is like, what's the big deal? Like, it doesn't matter. She grew up like causing rain showers on the Serengeti and just kind of like running around naked. It was not a big deal. So there is that element to be sure. Joel the Geek says there's a Twitter account about Chris Claremont's run on X-Men and how he made the women take on roles that were not usually female. And there you could definitely see there's a feminist through line a little bit to some of these, because the women in X-Men are unlike women in most comics.
Right. I think when you're going into like the drawing of Storm, what they're aiming for is again like that goddess type thing. So I guess like a way of doing that in their mind. I'm not defending it, but I'm just like trying to put myself in their shoes in that time period, was to make her beautiful. And how do you make her beautiful? By doing exactly that.
Exactly.
Right? When you go to a historian
Great point, TJ.
gods, they're usually not wearing clothes. Or lack thereof. So I guess that's kind of the association, maybe.
Totally.
Again, defending it, I would have drawn her personally with a little bit more clothes if I could.
It's more acceptable now than it was back then. Sure, that makes sense. There's loving some Brandon, of course.
Everyone loves me.
Jennifer, our only lady in the chat, I definitely want to check in with Jennifer. She says, she has a love-hate relationship with comics for this era for this very reason. Modern comics are still incredibly guilty of this. Comic is specifically made for a certain demographic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know my girls go back and forth between that kind of thing too, although my youngest loves Silver Age books, and he will read Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, even though it's incredibly misogynistic. That book is always like, Lois Lane is a hugely successful reporter, but is like a complete idiot who needs Superman to do everything for her. It's like that book is hilarious, but she laughs at it because it's ridiculous. She doesn't read it like, oh, this is the truth of the world.
These are the gender roles in that time.
Right? Overriding factor. There you go. Right or wrong, socially less acceptable by today's standards, right? Yeah. I mean, I think it's a worthy discussion. I don't think it I don't want to derail the show, but we've referenced her sexuality and her over-sexualization, I think. And it's just interesting to think about, how does it change the reader's enjoyment or the reader's respect or interest in the characters? Does it affect her character? Because I feel like it's on the line there, but I feel like because she's so well written, it doesn't detract from what is the core of Storm. She is not an object for desire, because the other X-Men aren't all like ogling her. The other X-Men view her as way more powerful than they are. And she has this sense of leadership in her and empathy in her core. Mm-hmm. Jennifer says, there's so many straight dudes walking around moping about why aren't more women in comics. And then they're like, comics are made for guys. There you go. Yeah. Women finding comics need to find a little bit of their representation, but you could also say the same about, like Brandon was saying, race in comics. And, I know a ton of people that fell in love with comics because they saw a young Puerto Rican kid as Spider-Man, and they were like, that makes me interested in reading comics, because it's not the same thing I've heard over and over again.
Right. I used to be a karate teacher, and a lot of my students back then, especially my little ones, especially when the Spider-Verse came out, right? Were so attached to Miles. It was like something that like I've never seen, or even like in the new Star Wars movies, seeing Rey as like the main character, even though like like
a female Jedi was a huge deal if you really think about it.
Not Carrie Fisher,
even Carrie Fisher never got a freaking lightsaber.
She got a cameo lightsaber, but she never used it. And just seeing like a lot more women like in these movies taking leading roles, then just, like having such powerful performances on the screen. Like I could even like see it in these kids, right? And even my coworkers at work are starting to get into comics because like they see the way that I love them and read them all the time. They're all women. So I think things are changing. They're not where we ideally want them to, but there is a change.
It's always a spectrum, right? It's always on the road to some continued evolution.
Right. And there's something for everybody. And I
truly, and independent comics, I think, allow for a lot more of that now.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Chet says issue 152 was one of the last straws when she and Emma were in tight clothes, all long and leggy, tangled in a brawl. Well, there you go. Storm can't help it. She's just drawn that way. Great Jessica Rabbit comment there. Statues of gods from many groups did wear clothes The ideal of an overly naked effigy comes from the Renaissance. Oh, interesting. Greek and Roman artifacts. Nice.
Damn.
And this is where I'm at too. Hip hop is me. I always felt Storm was a leader first, right? This powerful individual first, and everything else was second. And the other characters react to her that way. It would be very different if Colossus and Nightcrawler and Cyclops were always tripping over themselves about her, and they're not. And I think that plays a big part in how they see her. They don't see her as an object. The other X-Men see her as an incredibly important part of the team.
Right.
Last two here. More representation in comics and diversity in comics will bring more people in, and that's truly what will keep this industry alive. Totally agree with that.
Well said. Yep.
Patrick Wall says, I always like to absorb books and movies more of any form of art with clearing my mind, bringing nothing into it first, then seeing how the artist wanted it to be and put my own thoughts in and combine it. That's great. So that's the ideal, but you have to look at any art obviously through several lenses, because a movie from the 30s versus a movie from now is, your perspective might be very different on it based on the cultural experience of it at the time. So bring this topic back to the Black Queen, right? We're going to get to that at some point later on for sure. So let's continue on here. Sorry. So this is in your face, Cyclops haters, including you, Brandon.
Oh, what?
He blasts all the race cars in one epic move, leadership and skill. This is an awesome Cyclops moment. And you get your Zorps and your Zraps and your Zaps and your Zrams and your Zoops and your Zakow. He blasts all of them with his epic ricochet, and he even protects Nightcrawler at the same time. Nightcrawler, get behind me. And then he unloads. I love this moment.
Yeah, that is a cool moment. I gotta give you that. I am always like back and forth with Cyclops. I can't say I'm like fully always jumping on board with hating on him. What's that?
I will win you over.
Thanks, Jennifer. I knew you would. I'm glad you were here for it, Jennifer, because that article that you posted kind of spurned it, and I know it'll be an ongoing one, and it's a bigger conversation, but I liked zeroing in on Storm a little bit in this Omni. So yeah, Brandon, how do you hate Cyclops in this moment? Come on, this was awesome.
I hate him in every other moment. Look.
Okay, then at least you're giving me this one. That's all I wanted.
This is the first time we've really seen him do anything as a leader. You come back from everywhere else. Yeah, what the Farouk, John?
Right?
You see them come back from the Savage Land, from wherever they were, Antarctica. Seemed like Antarctica. And the first thing you would say is, where is my girlfriend? Is she dead? Well, where was the funeral? You're with people who have been in contact with them, and you don't bring it up. You just move on.
But he's in Murder World now. Let's deal with him in Murder World.
I don't care about Murder World. As a leader, he's even in the Savage Land. He's just trying to be.
No. We're not gonna get into a whole. I'm saying in this moment, it's pretty cool. You have to admit, this is a pretty cool moment.
It's a cool moment. This belongs on Justin's show beforehand. Cyclops, good or bad?
Right.
That's a good topic.
I like the way it's drawn. I like the concept, and we haven't been able to see him use his blasts in any kind of unusual way. It's been pretty straightforward. This is one of the more unusual instances. What about you, Justin? What do you think of this?
See,
I just sorry, what, Brent?
Oh, I said Jen's with me. I'm just looking at the chat.
It would have made Murder World done in 8 seconds. Absolutely. That's why they had to put her on the sidelines, like keep Phoenix out of these issues. Otherwise they would have been over too soon.
Yeah, I was saying like this is a very cool scene. I do like the idea of it and how he's able to just take each car out. And like I said, I'm not necessarily a hater of his. I do chime in once in a while when Brandon has some things to say, and I'm usually agreeing with Brandon but I don't necessarily go out of my way to like pick out his terrible moments per se. But this was a badass moment. Absolutely.
And I'm a Cyclops. I'm not a hater. I'm definitely on the Cyclops bandwagon. But previous to this issue, he's been making some bad choices. I will fully admit. And love and romance wise, other than finding Jean Grey, he's made a lot of bad choices all through his character's history. Let's look at this hacking game here, because the team hacks the game again. Cyclops blows a hole in the wall. They break in, and Nightcrawler goes full like incognito style to climb up and try to hack into the system. They can't find where the X-Men are, and Cyclops blasts a hole in another wall because he hears fighting, and he stumbles upon our heroes reenacting Hulk 181.
Yeah, I think that is awesome seeing that reenactment there with Hulk. I was always just wondering, like, this place is huge. There's a lot of money put into this thing. It's practically perfect the way, he's designed things. And even though they break into these other walls, I would just think that there's so many cameras that he still would be able to keep track of everybody. At least seeing them go into this thing. I don't know. That was something I was thinking about. I'm like, how do they lose them in all this? I just feel like they would still have been able to kind of keep track of these of them as they're going through the walls here.
Absolutely. There's no perfect leader in the Marvel Universe, but he is one of the best. There you go. Suddenly Psych is Captain America? No. Why doesn't Nightcrawler leave everyone and everything in the demon dimension? I don't quite understand that one. I don't know the demon dimension, but I do love, yes, that Hulk's pants are still torn even as a robot. That's very important.
Banshee's actually blasting against Magneto. It's like he's like, ah!
Ruben, what is up? It's gangster Disneyland.
Yeah, there you go.
Eric is hilarious. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I had to throw the little Matrix GIF in there because they are in the Matrix at this point. Justin, this was your favorite, and I'll tell you, when I read the book, other than those amazing Storm panels, this drawing of Nightcrawler is freaking amazing, right?
Absolutely. It's so incredible. And seeing it for the first time I saw it, and reading digitally, it actually shows the left side first and then the right if you have the panel to panel kind of feature. So you kind of just get hit with this scene and it's like blown up and it just looks so cool. Like that is a really awesome image of him and seeing his ability of being able to kind of fade into the darkness there, into the shadows and blend in. It's really incredible. I love this panel right here.
And what are your feelings on Nightcrawler? Brandon, I think you're a pretty big Nightcrawler fan, right?
I love this, especially because it's like Nightcrawler saving the day. We don't see this a lot, so every time that we're getting these characters have their spotlight, I really appreciate it. Because now you're just Chris Claremont is doing. He's allowing other writers to expand on everything that they're doing in the future. Totally. 20 years after he retires from writing the X-Men. What design of everything more so than the Nightcrawler. My focus was how he was like able to like capture Arcade in the background, and then Wolverine and Cyclops. Byrne was just a master at space.
Absolutely. Oh, there it is. Great use of negative space. I totally agree. Chet says that's the showcase of Kurt's power to blend in the darkness, which I still feel like is underutilized in the modern era, because I feel like almost nobody taps into this, but Byrne has been tapping into it a bunch, and Cockrum obviously as well before him.
Yeah, that was Cockrum right there.
I think this is a great comment too about backgrounds, because I do feel like Byrne and Cockrum both cared a lot more for backgrounds than they get credit for, and the colors and the style of their backgrounds is
that's a good point. The detail,
yeah, right.
Imagine inking all this.
Oh my god,
Terry Austin, props to you, sir.
Yeah, the patience, right? The patience.
You're Frank Miller.
The other thing I wanted to add too about this panel was where we see more of Nightcrawler's personality, where even though there's all these serious things going on, he still is like this kid, he wants to, even at the end it says, but why hide? It'll be more fun. Like he's like almost
ready to do this.
And then you get this awesome scene of him and you see Arcade falling out of his chair. It's just so good. Like, and he literally says boo. Just like it just shows how he's this kid inside still. It's cool.
Arcade says, "Holy jumping, yikes!"
I overlooked that, Justin. That's a good point you bring up. I totally missed that when I was reading it.
Yeah, you look at what he does, right? He scares the crud out of Arcade, like dodges a punch, dodges a gunshot. Sorry, punches out the assistant. Then he grabs the gun from her, shoots the machines, all before they can try to even gas him or stop him.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Rod, I like that he apologizes too.
Thank you for the super chat, Rod. Much appreciated, brother.
Rod, you are the man.
Sorry, Justin, you were saying.
I like how Nightcrawler kind of apologizes, like clarifies, like I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna hit you right now,
right?
Because you have a gun.
It's so good. Yeah, he punches a woman, shoots the screen, and I mean, he gets a bunch done in just his like couple of seconds in this room.
Which is his vibes. Like that's how he should always be. Like he's just in and out, quick to the punch, surprise, surprise, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Patrick says he's got X-Men 115 signed by Terry Austin. Didn't even know who he was when I got it. Much respect. There you go.
Wow.
Hey.
That'd be it. That's a great thing to have, man.
Yeah.
So then Cyclops saving the day again here. So Storm finally breaks through where she was sort of underwater welding with her powers. And she floods the Magneto room. By the way, look in the background. You can see Wolverine killing Hulk. And busts in and is basically almost drowned. And Cyclops has to do the mouth-to-mouth to save her, even though it looks like he's got red lipstick. That's her lips that are red in the mouth-to-mouth scene. So Cyclops, yet again, he's MVP this issue, man. He's doing some great work.
This is not a Michael Squint's Pallador moment from Sandlot.
That is a great reference. Rod the Rican will love that reference. It's his favorite movie. I love it.
Another GIF opportunity missed, John. GIF opportunity.
I know. I was too busy focusing on her really amazing bathing suit. I mean, I know we're talking about Storm's costumes. Yeah, I didn't realize how unfitting some portions of her costume were.
You're killing me, Swalt.
There you go.
I was going to say that. There you go. See, they're right there with you.
Hey, so that's a classic, bro.
Jackson Roy Kirk, yes, you are correct. The upcoming annual, which, by the way, next week, we are not reading an Uncanny issue. We're reading an annual issue. So Uncanny Annual number 3. So thank you for the reminder on that. We'll be on Justin's channel for that.
No burn.
So any comments here on the saving of Storm by Cyclops?
No, I think you nailed it.
The Wendy peppercorn scene. There it is.
There it is.
Done it. Nailed it. So then finally here, the Proletarian comes back again. He backhands Banshee. He slaps Wolverine down and then starts choking the life out of our 2X leaders here. Brandon, I know you were Justin, I know you wanted to make some comments about this fight scene.
Yeah, I mean, just highlighting the fact that it ties into the cover, how they kind of show that off right off the bat, and I mean it's interesting because like they're being choked to death, but they are getting words out at the same time. So I kind of was questioning, just exactly how strong was he trying to do what he was trying to do. But the other side of it is, he does have that other in his mind. You could just see within his own mind, he's like kind of battling himself and kind of starting to realize some things as he's hearing them out and waking up. So, I thought that was cool. And then poor Banshee, he gets it pretty bad in that middle panel there.
Man, he goes ass over tea kettle. He gets flipped over with that one punch.
Yeah, and that's just a backhand, really. That's like nothing for Cyclops. I mean,
absolutely. What about you, Brandon? What are your thoughts here on this moment? Because Storm obviously coming to the rescue with her words here.
Why couldn't you hit somebody else? Why Banshee? Like, I'm tired of it. In 102,
I'm tired of it.
Yes, man. But he's not even allowed. Family doesn't matter. He gets attacked in his own home.
Oh my God, so good.
He loses his voice. He goes home from the hospital to be kind of alone and crushes. They surprise me. Not this. I'm like, no, stop.
Heart to you, Sharon. Thanks for coming, Sharon.
Hello. Stop it. I
totally agree with you, Justin, that like obviously if he were giving his full, they would have been dead in seconds. Nobody seems to be giving 100% in this fight. Even Wolverine's like taken out in 2 seconds. It seems like Colossus is at war with himself to stop what he's doing, and the two main leaders here, Storm and Cyclops, aren't willing to fight back. Right. They're trying not to. I do love the art here in that bottom section all the way across, the detail work in all the faces. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the expressions. Even Colossus in those 3 panels where you get a close up of his face. Amazing. And then of course the tears on Storm's face when she's admitting things to him about what this team means to her and what he means as part of that team. And so I had to include the Mario Heart gif because love is what's setting this monster free a little bit here.
It's a brother's love.
I love it.
Yeah. Which brings us to we were in the tunnel of love this whole time. What the heck?
What the Farouk is going on?
Yeah, what the Farouk?
So they snap him out of it. Arcade's like, this is ridiculous. I quit. I hate this game. He wraps them up in another pinball and fires them out of his murder world, and they land right outside the tunnel of love.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I was like very let down in that it's. I mean, there's so many things that go on in my head where I'm just like, well, I mean, this tunnel of love is connected to the factory somehow. I mean, I get they show all these like crazy tubes and stuff, but like, couldn't they then just, notify the police? They would do this whole entire investigation and find out exactly. Yeah, you find out who Arcade is and, everything else, and then bring him down, bring him to justice, and they're just like, yeah, no, we can't. Let's go. We got to go.
What?
What's that?
There's so many abandoned amusement parks in Marvel. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it ends very quickly. Like it still seemed like they were in the midst of fighting things, and then they're out. It's like, but I mean, in perfect Arcade temper tantrum moment where he's just like, "You win, I quit this game. I hate it. You horrible X-Men. I'd kick you out." That's how I picture Arcade's voice, just in case you're wondering.
Also, I picture that Storm and Cyclops, even though they're like about to die without air, he changes gears and like hugs them, and I'm thinking like they're probably still like, "Oh, dude, we still can't breathe. We still
can't breathe." Yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty much the end. They climb out of the pinball that they were inside of. There's fireworks going off with little heart messages from all the ladies that were kidnapped. By the way, we don't hear a word from them and what they've been through. That part of the story is just kind of glossed over in the background there. Yeah. Notice how Cyclops doesn't even check on Colleen.
On Jean.
At least Kurt is like talking to her, and Colossus seems like he's kind of giving a hug to his girl. Bonus points if either of you can actually give the names of those ladies right now.
Oh no, nope.
If you can name though, if you know the names, because I had to I looked it up and was like, oh, I didn't remember. The Arcade leaves a little note saying round 1 to you, but I'll see you next time. And it's possible my favorite drawing of this whole thing is this one I kind of blew up here with the white background with Wolverine in the front popping claws and the team. I just love the poses. I love the like smoky background there, and from the letter that disintegrates in Cyclops' hand. Storm looks so cool. Nightcrawler, and then Wolverine right in the front. I love that drawing.
That is a really cool piece of art right there.
Oh, yeah. Jackson Roy Kirk. What? How do you know these things?
He has his omnibus out right now.
But I don't even think they mentioned the ladies' names in this issue. They don't even know how far away Arcade's murder world is. It could be miles from land, right? Why not ask the ladies how long they've been in the air traveling, right? Is that my Omni entry? There you go. That might be worth a raffle ticket because that's pretty impressive. Although you could just Google search.
He's trying to beat Chet. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean that's a long con if you're going for that game. So that's the actual end of the issue. It's like Wolverine has to be talked down from going like on a one-man murder world of his own to hunt down Arcade. And Cyclops is very easily like pacified into it's not worth it. Let's get out of here. We have no legal right to conduct a search. Like, what are we worried about you were just trying to be murdered. Like, let's just worry about legal things later on.
That's what I mean, man. He just lets it all go and it just ends. It's like,
right. It just ends. So any last thoughts on the issue here before we get to the monetary side of this?
I have something for Ryan for Magic Lasso. I just think of clowns. We're talking about arcade. And my girlfriend dated a clown before she started going out with me. And I have to say, I had some pretty big shoes to fill. Just saying.
I knew it was a joke. I just wasn't sure where it was going.
Okay. Anyway. So
anyway.
well, I was gonna. You know what? I liked it. It was fun, despite the ending of it. That's all. Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
It's a fun issue. Absolutely. Yeah.
Justin, you're. No.
It's classic. It's classic. Admit it.
Yeah.
So just to bother Chet and Jay and TJ, there is a 9.9 of this book on the CGC census. It exists.
Damn.
This is not a monster key of any sort, so it is a more reasonable 9.8. It's a $280 one, and it's not even a ×3 ratio from 9.6 to the 9.8 because the 9.6 is $110. And there are over 200 9.8s. There are almost 300 9.6s, and there are over 200 9.4s. So it's a pretty even spread across those upper grades. This is the first hint that Wolverine's entire body might be covered in adamantium, not just his claws. He talks about his skeleton and the invulnerability of his skeleton. And this is the last appearance for Colleen in the Uncanny X-Men. Also Betsy, which is Colossus's lady. But can you blame these ladies for not wanting to come back after this amazing date experience? However, stay tuned because Kurt's lady, Amanda, does return.
What?
I'm saying that's a lady who wants some elf. I'm just telling you.
Wait, so Colleen really doesn't show up again at all?
No.
Wow.
This is her last appearance in the Uncanny run. Yeah.
Wow.
Because, hey, we're going to clearly, if you've seen the cover for next week's, the next issue, 125, we got the return of a different redhead in Cyclops' life.
I guess Colleen was just mad that Cyclops didn't say anything to her when she got out of Murder World.
I said some things to Flashpoint Comics early on that might have earned that thumbs down. I'm just going to say.
He may have.
Annual 4, there it is. Look, he knows what's up. Nick's Kicks and Comics. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming by, brother.
There's a lot of debate between the Magic Lasso route being truth or not down in the chat, just so you guys know.
This one right here?
Yeah.
How do you know I didn't go down?
Nah, just before. There's a bunch of back and forth on where was it? Jackson Roy Kirk said, Justin, no, please don't tell me you're going down that
exactly. Don't go down the dad joke traveling. That's not good. That might have been the real thumbs down. Right there. That's what I'm gonna blame it on that.
I'm blaming it on Michael.
So that's it for this issue. Any final thoughts? I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm going to put it back. Any final thoughts there, Justin, on issue 124?
No, I think we covered we covered everything, and it's a fun issue for sure. Like I said, I was a little let down by the end, but I'll run with it because it's Uncanny X-Men. But it's fun. It was fun.
And Brandon, what about you, man? You feel good about it? You feel like you got everything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I feel great. I feel great.
Well, we end every episode of this show with a little trivia because we are planning to do some giveaways nearing, I think we were saying the beginning of June. And we're nearing the end of this first omnibus, which means Justin's already purchased and gotten a second omnibus that he would like to give away to someone who's a fan of this program. So we ask trivia questions and we give prizes to the winners. You answer correctly, you get a raffle ticket to be entered to win that and a slab from Chet.
That's right.
You also get 2 points on the overall standings. If you answer correctly and you're the second correct answer, you also get a point on the overall standings. Funniest response also gets a point, and we'll keep I've got an overall tally here. So even if you are the person who answers all the questions correctly, like Magic Lasso, and you don't get your raffle ticket pulled, you'll at least get an X-Men mystery box from someone like myself, specifically myself, not someone like me. Joel the Geek, thank you for the super chat, man. That is incredibly nice of you, man. He says it's the one omnibus I have. There you go. The second volume? You've got you don't even have the first volume of this? You've got the second volume omnibus?
That's the one to own right now. I talked about this in a previous episode, but for some reason, out of all 4 that are out right now, volume 4 has doubled in price on eBay and online.
Volume 2, you mean?
Oh, sorry, volume 2. Sorry. Yeah, for some reason, out of all of them, that is the one to spike. So it's good to have that one.
So the questions we are asking have to do with the previous issue 123 and the show that we did discussing that issue. So if you watched, make sure you can stick around here right now and answer questions. Next week, we'll answer questions about this episode and this issue. So if you hung out with us tonight and you clearly are watching, make sure you're on Justin's channel next week when we ask questions about it. Flashpoint is back for the trivia. Even though he's not an X-Men fan, he's still here for it. And I appreciate the thumbs down. I appreciate it.
Down around Flashpoint.
Yeah.
All right. So, Justin, you want to go first with your first question?
Sure. So my first question is, what did Spider-Man destroy when he found out that he was too late in warning the X-Men when he tried to call the mansion?
Yep.
What was the
Spider-Man had already dealt with Arcade, right? And he was upset that he couldn't use that knowledge to save the X-Men.
Yep. He was trying to reach him, and it was
I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you, brother.
Oh.
I already see 2 correct answers, and I see a hilarious one as well.
Nice.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! So I'm gonna go. Let's go with correct answers. I got Jackson Roy Kirk as the first correct answer with 2 points for him on the overall, and a raffle ticket. And then I got Magic Lasso as well, even though he put a G on the end, but we're all right. I can understand what you were saying there. So he gets the bonus point. Comedy points. Wow. J. Jonah Jameson's Last Cigar did make me giggle. But Flashpoint Comics, you are definitely earning that comedy point there. That is hilarious.
I'm trying to keep Spider-Man.
Michael, that might be your first comedy point, my man. So I'm gonna put you in here, Flashpoint, for that comedy point. Thank you so much, man. He destroyed some self-respect.
He does that on a daily basis.
Now, this next one is a bit of a spelling challenge, so you got to make sure you type it perfectly correct. I've written it down so I know exactly how to. The X-Men were captured because Spider-Man couldn't warn them in time. There was a garbage truck involved and a wonderful onomatopoeia, a wonderful sound effect. What sound happened when the garbage truck captured the X-Men? Wow. I think Jackson Roy Kirk was like reading my mind on that one. He was ready to go. What was the sound effect? And spelled correctly.
To a T. Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, there's no T's in it, but somehow, whatever. And Chet as well. Slang. How can that slang?
If my engine said slang, I would rev it all day.
Oh my gosh. So that's another raffle ticket for Jackson Roy Kirk and 2 points, and then 1 for Chet. Meep Meep from the Roadrunner. Very funny. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Shiboopy. I think that's just funny, Joel. I'm going Shiboopy. I love a good made-up onomatopoeia there. Shiboopy kind of wins. I'm just doing it. Sflang is yeah. That's what we're talking about.
I'm gonna start a new YouTube channel and call it Shiboopy.
Shiboopy or Slang. Cyclops, Wolverine, Rogues 3 early. No, it's Jean Grey. If you're reading Hickman, it's Jean Grey.
Jean Grey and all of Krakoa in one big orgy.
They get freaky, man. Mutants get freaky. Okay, so second question from Justin.
Okay, I'm looking for 2 names. Make sure you add 2 names in here. Name the 2 X-Men that were captured by Arcade back at the mansion from last issue. There were specifically 2 inside the mansion when Arcade broke in and captured them both. Who were...
The security at the mansion surprisingly lax.
Yeah, not very good.
Did the truck run over Xavier's legs? No. Lasso, there it is. That good internet strikes again with the raffle ticket and the 2 points. And Jackson Roy Kirk right behind him with 1 point. Jackson Roy Kirk has been back in a big way. Chet, you better watch it, man. You better watch it.
Big time.
I'm just saying. You've been on this show too much, Jackson. Chet, you're falling behind.
I'll take his if he wants to forfeit annual 3.
Right. There you go. Brandon's got the only comedy answer, but it's a good one. Chet and Lasso weren't ready. They both got taken. Let's see. I know he got you on here. So where are you at? There he is. Gets the comedy point.
On very top of the list, John. Come on now.
Right? Shouldn't it be? Okay, so my last question is not necessarily about the issue, but about some references I made, and I even sung a little bit. I said that the issue reminded me of a classic rock song. Which classic rock song did I mention and then sort of sing because of last week's issue with Arcade? If nobody gets this one, I might tell you the name of the band who sung the song, but I have a feeling somebody must know this classic rock song that I referenced. But fingers crossed. Oh, my God. All I want for Christmas is my legs to work. Flashpoint taking a lot of shots at poor Xavier. That's hilarious. I burned it out of my mind. That might be the comedy answer for the night. I wanted the name of the song, and I see it once already in the chat. I see it one time, so somebody just needs to copy and paste it and catch up. Is there another? This chat is always so funny.
You're giving Lasso the comedy point, and Lasso's like, no, I'm very serious. I really tried to
I really don't want it. I just want it gone. I respect that. Somebody's got to copy and paste it here. There it is. Okay. Lasso copied and pasted what Chet remembered. Yes, it was the Who's pinball wizard. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. So that means Lasso gets the single point. And then comedy-wise, out of my memory, it's pretty funny. Although all I want for Christmas is my legs to work. Taking shots, man. Dream On is a great song. By the way.
It's the one karaoke song everyone messes up.
Cherry Pie. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'll give Flashpoint that comedy point. So he's at 2 comedy points for the evening. And that wraps us up. We finished. We went a little long. We had, I think, a really interesting conversation about Storm's character in this omnibus. But as I mentioned before, the links for these two gentlemen's channels are right down below. So if you haven't heard of Brandon's ComixKings channel or Justin's KnowGood Comics, you're missing out in a big way, and you should definitely check it out. Brandon, what do you got coming up on your channel? Do you want to let anybody know?
I have a few different announcements. I've been bringing back Creators Corner that I used to have over on IGTV onto YouTube. I got the lineup of the first 4 guests for the rest of May. On May 8th, Marcus Toe from Excalibur. He's the artist. And then I have Michael Conrad and Becky Cloonan on the 12th. And then May 15th, I have Will Sportasio, that's
oh, yeah.
Exciting. And then at the end of May, the day Aliens #3 dropped, Philip Kennedy Johnson. So
nice.
I will finally get to ask him who let Salvador LaRocca draw himself as the main character. I wouldn't be surprised.
Shots fired. And for those that are following Justin, if you haven't watched his 5 Reasons to Start a Comic Book channel, really, really good show. He just dropped that this morning, I want to say, right? Wasn't that just today?
Yeah, yep, just earlier today.
And then he went live before this. I mean, this guy is on YouTube like crazy. How about we start with when aren't you on YouTube? And then we'll
I'm usually off on Mondays. It's funny. I'm actually in about 12 minutes going to be somewhere else doing a pre-recorded with my buddy Copy 801. So
that's hilarious. I wasn't even trying to be serious about that. That's hilarious.
But I mean, it's just been so much fun, and I appreciate Jackson Roy Kirk and John what you guys have said about that, because that was a lot of fun putting together, and I'm getting so much great feedback. So check it out if you haven't seen it. Just trying to get back into the groove of things with Tag Team Thursday, since I I missed out on last week. And Brandon, great job on holding it up while I couldn't be there with you guys. But I will definitely be back this Thursday. And then I have Hyper Combo Comics for my Comic Collector Origins guest on Saturday. And then followed on Saturday as well, I have my book club with Victoria. We were talking about the first 10 issues of Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky.
So good.
So if you guys want to, swing by. It'll be fun. We'll do some giveaways and some other things like that. So it's going to be on her channel. So I'll just clarify that we're kind of doing the back and forth thing, kind of like you and I, John. So, so those are some of the highlights. What about you, John?
Awesome. Obviously this was an important show. I forgot to have it on my channel again. I feel like it's 2 weeks goes by so quick that I'm like, I haven't had this on my channel in a little while. Tomorrow I'm on the Comic Core talking about new comic book day books. Thursday, I'm dropping my comic community news show. If you guys are missing out on what's going on in the market or whatever, you can check the news show. I've got always some fun new stuff and some fun guests hanging out. And then Saturday, it's the morning show with my girls. And Sunday is Dungeons and Dragons, like usual. Comic Gories is back on Monday. So this coming Monday is going to be a very fun Comic Gories episode, specifically for many reasons, but specifically we're going to have the return of the boy who had 7.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Matt will be returning and he'll be playing.
Oh, interesting.
So
all right. Nice.
We're going to put him through the ringer just like always. So it should be a whole lot of fun.
Nice.
So definitely something for Comic Boys fans to be ready for. I'm going to promote it when we get closer because obviously there's a bunch of people missing Matt because he's not able to do as much YouTube. It'll be a great chance just to see him and shoot some shots at him.
Nice. I like Jackson Roy Kirk said Justin's working hard on filling those big shoes.
Yep. Takes a lot of time.
Sorry, go ahead.
So we're going to be out of here. We're heading out. Definitely subscribe to these guys, and we'll see you back next week. We're reading annual number 3 for next week's show. So if you're following along, that's the one we're going to be discussing next week. We'll have Chet from the chat. He's going to rejoin us to talk about that issue, and we'll see you on Justin's channel next time.
Yeah, can't wait for that, man. We'll see you.
Bye, everybody.